Hey guys, it's your average middle-aged American back again with another reaction video. This one is British versus American homes. This couple moved from the United Kingdom to the United States, and they're going to tell us some of the differences between the homes that they've owned in the past and the home that they own now, and kind of generalize some of the differences between American and British homes. If you're new to the channel, it's anything and everything that interests me as a middle-aged American. It's learning about other cultures, international travel, even learning more about my own country. Um, if you haven't subscribed already, I really would appreciate it if you did. We're growing pretty quickly. We just started this channel and very pleased with the progress, but I've got goals, and first goal is to hit 250 subscribers. I know that's not a lot for the average YouTuber, but it's a lot for me. And if you're watching this and we're past 250, hey, let's go for 500 or 1,000 or whatever the next normal number would be. I do appreciate your support. And enough jibber jabber. Let's get on with it.
Hi, welcome back to the ANS Way, and in today's video we are going to be talking about 10 things that are different about UK homes versus American homes, especially as we've been living here for about 2 years now.
Stay tuned until the end because we've got some questions what you think about American versus UK homes. Please do subscribe if you enjoy this video. Number one, the most obvious one, it's size or lack thereof. Most UK homes are absolutely tiny. We mentioned this in a couple of other videos, and they're smaller than I had anticipated.
In America, by comparison, when we got here, we were finding homes were well in excess of 2,000 square feet. I would say more typically around 3,000, and initially we thought that's way too large for us. But what we have found is it's allowed for more rooms, more functionality in your house overall, and space to do things that you want rather than struggling to cram your clothes, storage, things. You can actually live in your home and do things. That leads.
The general consensus is America is a little bit more than twice as large as British homes. American homes are a little bit more than twice as large as British homes. And America seems to have the largest homes out of just about any normal country. And a lot of that just has to do with land. America is the third largest country in the world by land. So when you have that much land and so many variations, the economics are dramatically different, the climates are different, the political scene, everything is different in every state in America. They're like 50 little countries. There are states in America that you can buy a home for $100 a square foot, a little bit more, and there are cities in America that are more than $1,000 a square foot. So literally 10 times as much. So it's going to depend. It gives a lot of variety, a lot of choices. As an average middle-aged American, I can give you a little bit of details about our home. Our home is a little bit larger than average. It's around 2,500 square feet, but it's old. It needs a lot of work. It was built in the 60s. Now, old in America is built in the 60s, 50s, 40s. Old in the UK is built in like the 800s. So I understand the difference. But we have 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. It is a detached home. It does have a yard all the way around, and we do have a pool. That's a little above average price-wise, but it's not really that crazy above average size-wise. And again, that's because we live in a good neighborhood. Within 10 minutes of me are homes that are more than $1,000 a square foot. So, if you take the average home size of Americans, say it's somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500, wherever you look, that would be $2 million to $2.5 million. Whereas if you moved to certain other states, other cities, that same home would be 300,000 or 400,000. So there's a big difference in America. So you have a lot of choice, a lot of variety, and a lot of land. I mean, if you're out in Texas, you could buy a home and you could have, 5, 10, 15, 50 acres of land. Whereas, my house only has a quarter of an acre. Most homes in America probably have a quarter of an acre, maybe a third of an acre in a normal city. Some higher end homes may have a half an acre to an acre. But you could be in Texas, or somewhere like that, Nevada, probably, Utah. I mean, there are places they have, 5, 10, 15, 50, 100 acres of property. There's people that can't even see their next neighbor. So it varies dramatically. And then if you're in New York, you could have an apartment that costs you, $5,000 a month.
Leads to number 2, and that is the functionality of US homes. And I'm talking walk-in closets and pantries and dedicated laundry rooms. In the UK, they would not come in a typical home. As we said in the first point, UK homes are tiny, so they don't really have the space to have those types of rooms. But here in the US, they do. And it's something that I absolutely love here.
Number 3 on the list, the kitchen. Now, the kitchens in the...
With it, functionality, most UK homes don't have closets, my understanding, built-in closets. See, in America, that's a whole different ballgame. When you walk into a house in America, you're going to have somewhere between 3 and 12 closets, probably, just depending on the size of the home and when it was made, that kind of thing. In my home, we have 5 bedrooms. So that's 5 closets, and then 2 of the bedrooms have 2 closets. So that's 7. We have 1 in the hall, 1 at the front door. So we have 9 closets in our home. And that's probably have about 21 or 22 meters worth of closet space. So figure on 22 meters, around 60 feet, something like that. And then they're about a little less than a meter deep. So you figure, that's 100, and that's basically about the size of a bedroom. If you chopped up all our closets, that would be about the size of an entire bedroom. So that matters, opposed to getting into a bedroom that's smaller to start with, then putting a piece of furniture in it. In our closets, you can put 1 or 2 racks for clothes, depending on how tall you want them and how long the clothes are. Most of my closets just have a single rack. And then you have shelves above that, so you can store boxes full of stuff, junk, seasonal clothes, whatever. Then you have a space below that for shoes and everything else. So it's not the same as just throwing an armoire in a room, I mean, it would take in our main bedroom, you'd probably have to have 6 or 7, maybe 8 armoires for the amount of space that we have in closets. It makes a big difference. Not to mention the fact you can just throw stuff in there and shut the doors and people don't see it.
The UK are either non-existent little rooms somewhere in the house, either at the front or the back, that are separate from every other room. In the US, however, it's kind of a central location for gathering, dining rooms around it, the living area, so that you cook and entertain at the same time. This is something that we had to get used to, because having the kitchen in your living room is a little bit weird for English people, I would say.
Although newer build homes are starting to have this more open plan style living, but definitely when we were growing up, the kitchen was a separate area.
One of the
Now, we have an old home, like I said, it was built in the 60s, but we do have a huge kitchen, which is nice. Our kitchen is somewhere around probably 20 by 25, which would be 7 meters by 8 meters. And it's got a little area in it, well, not in it, attached to it, but no wall, that is like our little family room. Our living room is actually separated, so is our dining room. So in our house, you would have this large kitchen, and that opens out to our pool. So it is the center of the home. It is the heart of the home. That's where everybody gathers. There's a table in our kitchen, and then there's a table in our dining room, and then we have a separate living room and a separate family room that both have TVs in them. So when people come over, everyone ends up in the kitchen. It's the largest room, and it separates the dining room and the family room from the pool. So basically, it is the heart of the home. One part goes to the garage, one part goes to the pool, one part goes to the dining room, and one part goes to the family room. So yeah, the days of even and that was in the 60s. So it's gonna be hard to find a closed off kitchen in a average or above average size home nowadays.
Magical things we do have here in the US is the garbage disposal. I throw everything in there, all of the food scraps, turn it on, run the water, and it's gone.
And it's brilliant so when you live somewhere like Vegas that gets super hot in the summer, or for most of the year it's super hot, and you can just get rid of the food rather than have it in the trash can outside.
Trash can, there you go.
I'm adjusting my language.
Like in America. The other thing that Selena really misses is something from the UK, which is a drainage area that's built into the sink platform, sink basin, right next to the sink. So when you wash up, you put it over there and it drains off and it runs into...
Yeah, I mean, you can get all kinds of sinks in America. It's kind of weird that they would even bring that up. I mean, it's so simple, just a drying rack. But here's a multi-purpose sink, $400. So it'd be like $300, 300 pounds. And you get a sink, and then it's got, a wire rack in there. You can see all the stuff down at the bottom. You got a chopping board, you've got a drying rack area, you've got, all kinds of stuff. So there's your drying rack there, which to me looks better, honestly. But yeah, you can get anything. I mean, Home Depot or Lowe's, they have. I think this Lowe's, when I looked this up, they had 2,000 different sinks. So.
Right next to the sink. So when you wash up, you put it over there and it drains off and it runs into the sink, so the water comes off. I don't miss it that much because I'm a dishwasher person. And we have these little drying mats and I find them perfectly fine, but you do mention all the time the drainage.
Like that it has that in the UK homes, and if we've got some shots, we'll share that here.
And the final thing, which we've mentioned a couple of times, but I think it's really important, pantries. I don't think I've ever seen a pantry in the UK, personally. Here in the US, every home that we looked at has a separate pantry or a huge area that acts as a pantry. And we get to store our huge 25-kilo Costco bags of rice and cereal in there.
Yeah, pantry's just a closet in the kitchen. So he talks about Costco. I did a video on Costco. You know, check it out. It's a ginormous warehouse store. You can buy anything from toothpaste to tires for your car. They're amazing. I buy a lot of stuff from Costco. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to buy something today from Costco. So check out that video. I think you'll like it, especially if you're in the UK or outside of America. It's pretty unique. For $1.50, I'll give you a spoiler. They have a little restaurant in there. For $1.50, you can get a hot dog and a Coke with free refills for $1.50 US. It's crazy.
The other thing that you might find, especially for our US viewers, is that in the UK, our washing machine is typically in the kitchen. Now, when I think about that
seems ridiculous.
Yeah, it sounds really strange. Can you imagine you'll be cooking, or perhaps you're having dinner in the kitchen, you've got friends around, and then your washing machine is going off. Yeah, so a very weird thing about the UK kitchen.
Number 4 is bathrooms, or bathrooms, as they said in the US. They pronounce their THs. So many bathrooms. We have 3.5 in here, and I think in the last place we stayed was 3.5. All of the homes that we looked at had between 3 and 5 bathrooms. They are obsessed. In the UK, you'll be lucky to have one main bathroom and maybe, depending on when your home was built, an ensuite, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Certainly when we were growing up, that.
So we have 5 bedrooms, and 2 of them have their own bathroom. So those are considered en suites. But again, it's an old home, so the bathrooms aren't huge. They're not, luxurious by any stretch. It's just one has a shower, a toilet, and a sink, and one has a bathtub / shower, a toilet, and a sink. And then we have a guest bathroom, which is basically down at the end of the hall between all the bedrooms. And that's a bathtub, shower combo, a toilet, and a sink. So basically you have a bathroom for guest, and then we have 2 bedrooms that have their own bathroom. One's a guest room for us, and the other is our bedroom. So that's pretty common. And this house was built in the 60s. Now, it may not have been that common in the 60s. We're somewhere around 2,500, 2,600 square feet, but yeah, it's hard to find a house that's got more than 3 bedrooms that doesn't have at least 2 bathrooms if it was built in the last 20 or 30 years. Now, my previous home, I've had 2 other homes, and one of them was 1,500 square feet. It was 3 bedrooms with 2 bathrooms. So it had one in the master bedroom, and it had one for guests. And then another home was 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, same kind of idea, but it was a little bit larger. It had a bonus room, and it was around 1,800 or 1,900 square feet. So yeah, for us, between 1,500 and 2,600, that's pretty normal. And we don't live in the cheapest area either. So, that same amount of money could get you probably another 1,000 square feet anywhere, that's less expensive. So just kind of giving you a little average American insight.
That just wasn't the norm in houses, but since the 2000s they started building the new homes started having an ensuite. But even then, the ensuite bathroom was tiny and
Comically small,
where 2 of you cannot be in there at the same time. There would be one sink, and that's another main difference. Here in the US, their ensuites really do cater for 2 people. They have double sinks, and that would really be a luxury in a UK home. Actually, when I went to one of my colleagues' homes, her shower was so large, it was larger than one of my friend's bedroom. The shower space, that's how big it is here. I don't know if this is the same across the US, but one of the biggest things I found strange with the bathrooms here, especially the ensuite, was that they don't typically have a door, and that for me is very different from the UK. UK, you will always have a door to your ensuite or your bathroom.
All of our bathrooms have doors, whether they're inside of a bedroom or not. And the idea, they don't explain this very well. You still have a bedroom door. So it's not like, you're having a party and you go into the master to go to the bathroom and someone just walks by and sees you. It's inside of the master bedroom. So, but we have doors on ours. And we do not have closets in our bathrooms. I don't think I'd ever own a home that has a closet inside of a bathroom just for humidity. But a lot of people do. A lot of people have these giant bathrooms, and that's where their closet is also. So you have to go through the bathroom to get to your closet. With us, you walk by the closets to get to the bathroom.
At number 5, parking. And this may surprise our American viewers, but in the UK, parking can be a real issue. And it's something that we suffered with when we were looking at new build homes, in particular where they wouldn't have a driveway. So you would be assigned a parking spot, maybe 1 or 2, depending on the size of the home. But that was really something that you had to consider when buying a new build, is whether you're even going to have a space to park your car.
Before moving out here, we bought a 3-bedroom family apartment, and you have one allocated space, and that was it. There was no option to buy another one. Wow. This isn't just places that are dense cities. We lived out, much further out from the city of London. So it's quite an odd way to live in the UK. America, by comparison, has excessive space. Especially here in Vegas, you have ample room to park your many, many cars, trucks, boats, jet skis, motorbikes, RVs. And number 6 is garage.
Yeah, we have a 2-car garage, and then you can fit 6 or 8 cars in our driveway. It's just probably just depending on how close you get to each one of them. So you figure 6 to 8 cars in the driveway, and then you can put 2 cars in a garage. You can't in mine. Mine's a little weird, but it's the size of 2 cars. Because it's got all kinds. It's got my pool equipment in there, and little workshop area, whatever. So yeah, I can't even imagine having to park on the street in front of your own house. It's just so weird. Now, a lot of places, depending on the neighborhood, you can't park on the street at all. Where my father lives, you can't park on the street. Nobody can park on the street. Obviously, UPS man, the postal worker or whatever can park there for 5 minutes at a time, but you can't just park a car and go see somebody. You have to park in someone's driveway. Yeah, I don't know what they do about when people have big parties and stuff, but yeah, you're not allowed to park on the street at all. In my neighborhood, you can park on the street. Our streets, you can park on both sides of the street, and then you'd have a lane basically in the middle. But that's on the side streets, not on the main streets going into, through the neighborhood, just on the streets where all the homes are. There's homes on both sides of the street, then you can park on both sides of the street. And then garages. 2-car garage is pretty normal. I've seen garages up to 10 cars, in an expensive home. If it's a detached home, it almost always has either a 2-car garage, a 1-car garage, or some kind of a carport, which is basically a covered area at the end of your driveway, like a garage but without walls. We have actually both. We have a carport and a garage. So you actually could drive through the carport and get into the garage. The average garage in America is probably 500 square feet, and the average bedroom in America is probably 150. So you're talking about maybe another 3 bedrooms worth of space, in the garage to store tools, yard equipment, seasonal clothes, cars, motorcycles, golf carts, whatever you want. Most new houses have at least a 2-car garage. Some of the nicer ones have 3 or 4-car garages. That's kind of the standard in my area. A lot of it depends on the price of the real estate, whether you're building a 1-story or a 2-story home.
In the UK, it's kind of a mixed bag. Older homes tended to have garages in which you cannot park modern cars because they were built for things like minis, metros, which most cars are too big now, so you can't actually get in and open the doors. So you could buy an older home, have a garage, you can't park your car, so they tend to be used as storage. Newer build homes, depending on where you are, as we mentioned, will either have no spaces and no garage, or we did buy a home in 2015 which did come with a garage that was big enough for a car and 2 tandem parking spaces.
Which is quite rare.
It's very rare, especially the closer you get to London. America, on the other hand, it's integral to their home design. They generally will have a double garage that fits within the home footprint. So instead of it being external.
Yeah, so this is actually a 3-car garage. This happens a lot in golf course communities, that kind of thing. They'll have a 2-car garage or a 3-car garage, and then they'll have another little garage either next to it or adjacent to it, and that's for a golf cart. because in golf communities, a lot of them you can drive golf carts around instead of dealing with your car. But yeah, this is obviously 3 cars. And this is not the standard American house either in, as far as looks go and everything. This is a desert home. They're in Vegas. So most American homes have grass. They're not quite as modern and not quite as desert type looking. There's probably 10, 12 different styles of home in America, just depending on where it is and how it blends in with the existing neighborhoods or landscaping, that kind of thing.
To the house, it'll be built into the home, and they can genuinely be bigger than a UK apartment. I think this is a small one, it's about 400 square foot. Some of the ones that we looked at were maybe 500 to 600 square foot, which I'll throw something up on the screen. A UK apartment can be 600 square foot.
At number 7, we have getting your mail, and this is something that I definitely miss about the UK. In the UK, we have mail that just comes through the door. It's wonderful. You do not have to go anywhere. You hear when the postman arrives, you get your letters. Here, we have to trek about a block to go and get our mail. And it's a discussion every day. Oh, yeah, have you been to check the letterbox yet? In the UK, it's so much easier. And that's something I definitely miss. And I don't know if that's everywhere in the US, but certainly here in Nevada, that's how you get your mail.
Number 8.
No, that's not. I mean, it does. Yes, there are neighborhoods like that. I think the idea of a central location for mailboxes is in new neighborhoods that are being built. I think it's part of it is just being lazy, post office being lazy, builder being lazy, everybody being lazy. And the other part is supposed to be the water cooler type thing at work where, people take 5 minutes, get some water from the water cooler, and talk to their coworkers. And I think that's kind of the same idea with these neighborhoods. It's supposed to be kind of a spot where you run into your neighbor, you say hi, blah blah blah. But no, there's multiple different kinds of mailboxes in America. In my neighborhood, I live in a small town, semi-small town, near a major city, and my mailbox is 2 feet from my front door, bolted onto the side of my house, right next to my light, my coach light, and my address plaque. So, yeah, the mailman in my neighborhood parks on the street, gets out, and just goes door to door, walks up the driveway, goes all the way to the front door, puts it in the mailbox. We don't use a mail slot. It's a separate mailbox. He also, which is really nice, will pick up mail that's outgoing, including packages. If I sell something on eBay or if I need to mail a package to somebody or whatever, then I can package that up, pay for the postage online, put the sticker on the box, and he will take that box with him. I don't have to go to the post office for anything. Now, most neighborhoods, the postman is not going to walk up to your front door. Most neighborhoods, you have a mailbox at the end of your driveway. So right on the street. And he just has his little Jeep, which actually has right-hand drive instead of left-hand drive like every American car. He has right-hand drive so that he can put mail in the mailbox and still be driving on the right side of the road, and he'll just go from mailbox to mailbox to mailbox. In addition to that, some homes do have mail slots. If you look at Home Alone, the movie, they had a mail slot in their front door. And then there are, let's see, you got mail slot through the door, you got mailbox on the front wall, you got mailbox on a post at the end of the driveway, you've got central mailboxes for a whole neighborhood, and then you also have mailboxes that are kind of like the neighborhood mailbox, but on a lower scale. So it may only have 8 or 10 houses in it instead of the whole neighborhood. And then you have rural mailboxes, which will be on the main road, not necessarily at the end of your driveway per se, but closer to the actual main road. And that's for people that are like, they may have 2 or 3 of them next to each other, and they could be, their houses are hundreds of meters apart because they're in the country. They've got, dirt roads, winding around, and they may have 10, 15, 20 acres of land or more. So that's rural postal. So yeah, there's 5 or 6 different kinds of mailboxes in America. It's a lot of talk about mailboxes, but the idea is just like houses, housing pricing, house sizes, architecture, everything, it varies dramatically depending on where you are, how old your home is, where it was built, and your postal stuff. I know my mailman, and he knows me. He knows, if I see him, if I'm driving down the street, he knows who I am. So it's a little more personal. It's a little more, small town feel.
Temperature control, and specifically temperature control rather than heating, because in the US, at least in the parts that we would choose to live, nearly every home has air conditioning. Now, to a UK person, that generally means cooling the home. The way it works here in the US, which is new to me as well, it's amazing. Air comes from the sky, so it cools and heats. They're separate units. One's a gas burner or furnace, and one is an air conditioning unit that cools down, but it keeps and maintains the perfect temperature all year round. Really hot summers, which we get here, 46 degrees Celsius, it's perfect in here. And when it's cold, it takes, how long would you say to warm up in here?
10 minutes maybe?
10 minutes at most to warm the whole house. This leads us on to how it works in the UK. Horribly is what I would say. We have radiators, which firstly, to me, are an eyesore, and I know we've done a lot better job of the modern panel ones, but they're an eyesore, they're in the way. I think they're filled with water, a boiler heats the water up and it comes out, and 2 hours later, the house might be livable. I had no idea. I thought the radiator system was quite good until we got here. But trust me, heat from the sky is where it's at. I love it.
At number
That varies dramatically also. In my house, we have central air and heat. We don't have a furnace. So our heat comes from electric and our air conditioning comes from electric. So we keep our thermostat at 74 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 23 degrees Celsius. And that's for air conditioning. And then for heat, we keep it maybe 60 or 65 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 18 degrees Celsius. So basically, if it goes below 18 degrees, the heat will kick on. And if it goes above 73 or 23 degrees Celsius, then the air will kick on. The idea is just to keep it around 23 degrees Celsius all the time. And then in the winter, when it's colder, we may put it down to like 20 degrees Celsius, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. And then not even have the heat kick on till maybe 16 degrees Celsius or 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's all temperature controlled. We have central. Some people have, window units if they're in old homes that don't have central air, or they don't need them very often. They'll have a unit that just fits in the window. They're actually very good. Up north more, you can do gas furnaces. Some use electric, but electric's a lot more expensive than gas is. Anyway, a lot of variations just depending on where you live.
9, we have gardens versus backyard. In the UK, gardens are like a national treasure for us. They're lush and green. Lots of British people are really into gardening, and sometimes they're disproportionately sized in comparison to the house. So you might have a small house, but then you might have this 100-foot garden with these large orchard trees, whereas here in the US, we're not finding that is as normal. And I get it, it can depend where you are.
Yeah.
And I've had a few people say to me, why do you call it a backyard and not a garden? Because it's not a garden. There's nothing about our backyard that makes me think of a garden, but it's different. It's a more functional space to put a pool, have your barbecue set up, play games. So to me,
that's not normal. I mean, I shouldn't say it's not normal. It's not, I wouldn't say that's average. They're living in a very hot and dry desert climate. They don't even, that's not even real grass. That's artificial grass. So there, everything is rocks and sand and desert. You know, if you look at, you know, a lot of the normal houses across the middle part of America, they're going to have grass, bushes, trees. It's not going to look near as deserty. It just won't. And it depends on the area you're in. We have a front yard, and it's well landscaped, and it's semi-large. It's larger than our backyard because of our pool and our patio and everything, but we still have grass in our backyard too. So we have grass in the backyard, grass in the front yard. And then down the sides of our houses are thinner, but they're not attached to anything.
To me, it is a backyard that you just make into whatever you want it to be, whereas in England, it truly is a garden.
Finally, number 10. We know this personally because we did put out a video that wasn't specifically about this, but we asked the question, and that is hardwood or hard surfaces versus carpet in your home. Now, I'm still torn. I'm quite traditional in the sense of I love carpet and it feels nice, makes the place feel warmer, more cozy. But I have come around to the practicalities of hard flooring. We use luxury vinyl plank, which is a high quality vinyl, but it mimics hardwood. And it's super easy to clean. You can wipe anything up, you can drop stuff on there, and
and it looks good.
It does look really nice. Where I struggle a little bit is we put lots of rugs down in the soft areas.
Yeah.
So we turn hardwood into carpet just in little spaces, which I think indicates that carpet is the way to go for me.
I know lots of people are going to say, no, carpet's awful, it's unhygienic. I think the thing that gets me about American homes, and it was one of the things when we was looking at rentals, was they would have hardwood everywhere, even in the bedrooms. And for me, I do like a bedroom to be cozy with carpet, but a bit like Ant, I've come around, so I get it. I do understand how much more practical hardwood is. It's just, it loses the cozy feeling of a UK home.
There you have it. 10.
So we have, in our house, we have carpet in the bedrooms, carpet in the living room, carpet in the dining room, and then tile in the family room, the kitchen, and the bathrooms. We have a tile foyer, however you pronounce it. So when you walk in the front door, it's tile, and then it goes to carpet. In the future, we'll probably put hardwood from the entrance to and through the hall. But we like carpet in bedrooms. You know, when you get out of bed, I'd much rather get on carpet than anything else. And then I bought a professional steam cleaner, like the ones you rent, not the ones you buy at a regular store, but the ones that you rent to clean your carpets. I have one of those, so our carpets stay pretty clean. But yeah, the hallway, your highest traffic areas generally shouldn't have carpet. But it's all personal opinion. I mean, you know, my father has real hardwood floors and some rugs, you know, down, and then they have carpet in their bedrooms. So it all depends.
Things that make US and UK homes different. At the beginning of the video, we did mention that we had some questions for you. So for those who have stuck around, thank you. You're getting our viewer attention up. And here are the questions. Question 1. For those of you in the UK, have you or do you currently experience the parking problems? And if you do, how do you deal with it? In particular, those where they have shared parking spaces and you might get into disputes with your neighbors.
Question number 2.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Americans have more cars than the average, you know, in the UK. But it is not unrealistic for an American household to have 4 cars. So if you didn't have a place to put 4 cars, if you had to put 4 cars, say husband, wife, and 2 kids, 2 teenage kids, you know, between the ages of 16 and, everyone's staying at home now. So 22, 23, 24, you could literally have 4 or 5 cars in a household. 3 is definitely reasonable. We have 4. I still have my first car from 35 years ago. It's sentimental to me. I can't even imagine not having a driveway or place to park. Well, there you go, guys. It's a great video. There's definitely some differences, but it's also what you're used to. If you're born in Britain and you were born in a small cozy townhome or whatever, then that's what you're used to. You don't really know what you're missing. And vice versa. In America, you buy a brand new house, in the construction industry, some of them are called drywall palaces, which just means that, you have this giant house that's built on a tiny piece of property and it's all concrete and, no landscaping or anything. Then, that doesn't have any charm or history or coziness to it. So I think it's all what you're used to. A piece of property around where I live, if it's on the lake, it's over $1 million without a house. And then if you go out in the country somewhere, you could get a piece of property that's maybe on a small lake that's 10 times as big for less than $1 million. So it all depends on where you're at in America. Anyway, that will wrap it up for this one. If you're new to my channel, it's anything and everything that interests me as an average middle-aged American. Learning about other cultures, international traveling, learning more about America, learning what other people think of America and Americans. If I find somebody that I think is hilarious, that doesn't have a lot of subscribers, I may put that on my channel. Whatever interests me is going to end up here, and it's all going to be sorted by playlist. I really would appreciate a subscription. It doesn't cost you anything. It really helps me out. Liking the videos also helps. And until next time, I appreciate you. Thanks, and take care.